Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. Ropaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Mike Prater. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the Ballgame, weekdays from 3 to 6 on 95.3 FM The Ticket and online at KTIK.com. Now, here's Mike Prater and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Thursday, Boise State fans. BJ Rains with you, Bronco Nation News. We got Mike Prater, KTIK 95.3 The Ticket. He's there in the Ropaint.com studios downtown at KTIK. And Mike, it's Thursday, kind of a weird week with no midweek game this week, but we got the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. We got the Wyoming game on Saturday. We've had some really good Mountain West games the last couple of nights, but happy Thursday, sir. How are we doing?
What's going on, BJ? Always happy to be with you here on a Thursday. I even watched a little Mountain West basketball last night. That's Utah State, San Diego State game, and I'm dialed in, ready to go, buddy.
Well, if you turned it off at halftime, you missed, which a lot of people probably did, a 16-point game at halftime. Utah State got it all the way back to where they're down 1 with 10 seconds left with the ball. Just an incredible finish. You had a little brouhaha where one of the players gets ejected for a starting point guard for San Diego State. A couple bench warmers get ejected for Utah State. The night before, you had literally at the buzzer, the shot going down for Nevada where it rolled around the rim and just fell in against New Mexico. So while Boise State's been trying to heal up and rest up, there's been some high-level basketball with some big implications in the standings the last couple of nights. Yeah,
it's been very entertaining. It's going to be a fun season. It's been a fun season, and it's going to continue to be a fun season. About, 3-4 weeks left in this year, and it's kind of a 5-team race, maybe a 4-team race, fighting for 3 or 4 spots, and a lot of jockeying going on. And these teams are going to beat each other up. I always compare it to like Pac-12 football, where there's a whole bunch of really good football teams, not great football teams, and they just kind of eat each other up during the season. And I cannot wait to see who's the survivor. At this point, I would guess San Diego State and Nevada are pretty much a lock for the NCAA tournament. Boise and Utah State are fighting for that 3rd spot, and somebody's going to get a 4th spot, and I don't think they're going to get a 5th spot as it sits right now, but a lot of drama left. Can't wait.
No doubt about it. Hey, the women's basketball team plays tonight, 6:30 against New Mexico. So Gordy Presnell, the head coach of the women's team, is going to join us a little later in the show. Mike, they've won 3 in a row, and including 2 road games, 5 of 7. So Gordy, little Gordy Magic's coming on late in the season here. They're playing strong. So appreciate Gordy on a game day for agreeing to come on with us, and we'll talk to him a little later in the show as again they get set for a big weekend. They'll play tonight against New Mexico, and they play Saturday. They're doing a doubleheader over at Extra Mile Arena. The women will play at 2:00. And they're playing UNLV, who's undefeated in conference, 22-2 on the season. And wow. Then the men play Wyoming, obviously, at 6:00 right after that. Gloria Nevarez, the commissioner of the Mountain West, will be in town. She's doing a group session tomorrow. I assume you guys might be getting her on. And then she's going to be coming on live on our Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show at 5:30 before the game against Wyoming on Saturday. But what do you make of Gloria Nevarez? She's trying to, take a tour and see a men and women's game at all the Mountain West schools if she can, and kind of, meet the people at all the schools and kind of get, used to the towns and the campuses as she enters her 2nd month here as commissioner. But what do you make of, if anything, of Gloria Nevarez going to be in Boise this weekend?
Yeah, it's her 2nd trip here. She came here earlier on in the season. So it's nice. I know she was doing this campus tour. I think she's about 4 or 5 schools into this tour. It's smart, take that first 100 days, kind of like what Jeremiah Dickey did in his first 100 days. He wanted to meet like 100 of the top donors and just go out there and shake some hands. You're not going to get a lot of headlines. You're not going to get a lot of news coming out of the commissioner's office right now, and nor should you. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's a very important time in college athletics, but she just jumped in and she's just trying to get to know the lay of the land and go to all these meetings. January and February are administrative, NCAA, executive, college athletic meetings. She's been all over the place. So I'd like to jump on her travel points. I'm sure she's piling them up, and definitely look forward to talking to her tomorrow. Got a couple of talking points, and the future of this conference and everything that she's trying to do to get acclimated is very important right now.
Yeah, and I think she came for the Mountain West Football Championship when she technically wasn't the commissioner. Now she is the commissioner, and so, yeah, she'll make the media rounds this weekend as well. Looking forward to chatting with her, and not sure what she'll say about it, but sure looks like they may be losing a team if San Diego State, as all is rumored, is potentially going to go to the Pac-12. And what'd you make last night? I don't know if you saw the images or not, but the Pac-12 commissioner, I always butcher his last name, was sitting in a suite at the SMU basketball game last night with the board of trustees and the president and the athletic director. And I was a little surprised that they were that out in the open, that they were visiting there. And I don't think that, you're visible in the arena like that if it's not very high probability that they're going to be added to the conference or at least be invited. So what'd you make of that last night, and the Pac-12 maybe closing in on San Diego State and SMU?
Yeah, I mean, they did that Dog and Pony show with San Diego State in December, and they did the SMU Dog and Pony show yesterday. So it has been somewhat public, and I'm not sure why that's been so public like that. San Diego State and SMU have long been considered for the last few months the two candidates that are going to go forward. I know San Diego State kind of makes sense for Boise State fans. I know SMU is a little bit of a head scratcher. We did a segment yesterday on Idaho Sports Talk. It makes more sense than we want to believe here in Boise. I've got a list of about 15 talking points, probably even 20 talking points, why SMU makes sense. I'm not saying Boise State doesn't, but SMU brings a lot to the table other than the reputation of the brand of their football team, which isn't great. So everybody just bases their opinion on the public reputation of a football team as it sits right now. Presidents don't vote like that. I think SMU is going to get in. I think San Diego State's going to get in. And Gloria Nevarez is going to have to make a really hard decision. Stand pat or go out and add somebody that probably doesn't bring any value to the conference. I know she did a press conference or a show I think it was last week because we played it on Idaho Sports Talk, where she said just last week, they put together this subcommittee of presidents and athletic directors. I think 3 presidents, 3 athletic directors, this subcommittee, and it's designed to go out and find what's the next piece of strategy that this conference needs to do when and if we lose a team. So they're putting that together. I think that they're hearing the writing on the wall. I think San Diego State's going to leave here in the next 30 to 90 days, and I think SMU is going with them.
So, yeah, that's a very interesting scenario there. And obviously there's a lot of levels and dynamics that come into play. But, I don't think a Rice or a UTEP or any of those teams really do much for you. I know you get into Texas, but do you try to wow some of those American teams and that depleted conference? Is that some sort of super conference with the American? Do you think that's in play? Do you, like you said, do you stick with 10? Do you have a team or two that you think makes any sense for the Mountain West at this point? I mean, I know what I would do is I'd try to convince Gonzaga to come down for basketball. I mean, if they're talking to the Big 12, that's probably not likely. But they were at one point flirting with the Mountain West. Now yep. Gloria Nevarez knows very well, the athletic department and everybody at Gonzaga. If there's any way you can sweeten the pot for them, I know it doesn't help football-wise, but you could get a little more money out of the TV contract, and that would help strengthen the basketball league even more. I don't know if that's at all a possibility, but what do you think the options are for the Mountain West?
Nothing. I really, truly do. Now, yes, Gonzaga would be spectacular, but the reality of it is, if they indeed said no before, because as you said, they talked to the Mountain West before, what they said no, that, whether it was an invitation or just future conversations, they said no. So San Diego State leaves and takes its basketball program to the Pac-12. That's going to be less appealing for Gonzaga. I just don't see Gonzaga coming. I love the idea, but I don't see it happening, even with the connection of Gloria Nevarez. Football-wise, program-wise, no, I don't see anything out there. Yeah, you could maybe go out to the American and convince somebody to come across. North Dakota State, no thank you. Any Big Sky team, no thank you. I really don't see anybody out there right now. I think it's okay right now just to stand pat, status quo, stand pat, don't do anything, because with the college football tournament coming, there's more money coming. There's going to be more access, and you just don't want to give it to everybody. Boise State, as it sits right now, is in really good position moving forward. Yeah, they'd like to join the Big 12, and I still think that's a possibility. But if I'm Gloria Nevarez, as I sit right now, I'm picking nobody, BJ, nobody.
It did seem like a really negative kind of, mood killer, depression type feeling for Boise State fans, seeing San Diego State get in, seeing SMU get in. I mean, you look at, strictly football success. Boise State certainly has had more than San Diego State, but there's obviously a lot more to it. I was just in San Diego last weekend for the basketball game. I mean, it's night and day, obviously, what they can bring to the table there. Just in terms of the Boise State fan watching this, Mike, that's, disappointed and sad about other teams getting in, not them. They're getting left out forever. You mentioned the college football playoff. Do you think that the Pac-12 that's the only two they're going to add? Could they potentially add two more, which would put Boise State in the mix there? You mentioned the Big 12. What's the outlook for Boise State in all this?
No, I think the Pac-12 is going to stay. I really, truly do. They have two decisions to make: status quo and stay at 10. And I don't think they're afraid of that. Actually, I don't think they're afraid of just picking San Diego State and staying at 11 too. The number doesn't matter anymore. SMU probably brings a little bit to the table, but I don't think that that's an automatic no-brainer. So, no, I don't think that they go beyond that. The Big 12, that's curious. That's very, very important. And Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, has constantly talked about that fourth television window. He's got football teams on the East Coast. He's got football teams in the Midwest. He's got football teams in every time zone except on the West Coast. And we all know what Saturday night inventory is. That's very important. And Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, has talked openly about wanting teams that compete in that fourth TV window. And that's part of the appeal for the Pac-12 too, is, going out into Texas and getting into the central time zone and getting into different TV windows. That's important. That's more important than Boise State's football resume. Sorry guys, but that's the fact. And that's the reality of it all. So I think there's a chance. There's a lot of talk out there, some chatter about Boise State, Fresno State going into the Big 12. I think that there's I'll go 30 to 40% chance that eventually that is going to happen.
Wow, how about that? And I mean, you have BYU already in the Mountain Time Zone, but yeah, I mean, they only get a certain number of home games, and you can't put just all six, BYU home games at 8 p.m. I mean, so yeah, if you had another team or two, and you could have different channels as well with different time slots, that certainly would play into it. But it would, we talked about it last year. I don't think it was a bad thing that Cincinnati, had two undefeated seasons or whatever right before they got in. Boise State winning 10 games in football last year, I think probably helped a little. And then, if the basketball team could go on some Sweet 16 run or something, I know it sounds crazy, but if you're fresh in people's minds and you show you're going in the right direction, it could, potentially, if it's 50-50, push it over the top, maybe, right?
Yeah, no, I don't. It's not going to hurt. I mean, I don't know how much it's going to do the numbers, but absolutely. I mean, if Boise State's creating any kind of waves in the NCAA tournament, coming off of a football team that found a little bit more success than the year before, absolutely, that's going to help. But the more important things are the TV households, and I know SMU doesn't deliver in the Dallas market, but they had it's the fifth largest television market in all of this planet, in all of this country. And the entire state of Idaho is like 10% of what the Dallas TV market brings. So it's about potential. It's about growing. It's about investing into your future. SMU spends so much money on name, image, and likeness. They give every football player $36,000. They spend $5 million a year on football players and student athletes. And Boise State, I'm not sure they're getting $5,000 a year for their student athletes. The endowment, the academic research, the investment in the stadium, they're investing $100 million in the stadium. They've already put the shovel in the ground. They have a $300 billion, or they have a $1.5 billion athletic campaign fundraiser. $1.5 billion. Jeremiah Dickey's trying to raise $300 million. SMU's out there trying to raise $1.5 billion, and they've already got $100 million invested in their stadium. George Kliavkoff, the Pac-12 commissioner, told San Diego State, invest in your future. They built a stadium, and they did a whole bunch of other things. They're going to go to the Pac-12. SMU's doing the same thing. Boise State is just starting right now, investing in its future. $1 million donations here, press releases there, a video board there, stadium expansion there, but it's really, really late. I wish they would have done this right after the Kellen Moore era. If they would have invested like they are now after the Kellen Moore era, Boise State would be going to the Big 12.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It wouldn't shock me if at some point we see the Pac-12 championship go to Jerry's World or something there in the Dallas area. If you got SMU there now, and so that opens up some possibilities for them. And I think a lot of the general consensus was kind of doom and gloom for Boise State fans when that kind of came out. But I do think there's more reason for optimism, I guess, than some are looking into. You mentioned the Big 12, and I mean, hey, you mentioned the playoff. Boise State could just get in the play. It would have theoretically a better chance if that stays the same and that group of 5 is guaranteed a spot. I mean, you could argue you have a much better chance than BYU and Cincinnati and Houston have the next couple of years.
Absolutely. I mean, sitting here right now, just off the top of my head, going forward, it's going to be Boise State, Memphis, and maybe the team TBD of the season, the flavor of the season.
Random Tulane or Coastal Carolina or somebody.
Yeah. So I love those chances. Do I want to stay here and take advantage of those chances, or do I want to go to a Power 5 conference? Well, yeah, let's get to the Power 5 and take our chances. But consolation plan B is pretty damn good.
Hey, I mentioned Gordy Presnell, the women's basketball coach, going to join us in a little bit ahead of their game tonight. But we are broadcasting from the Cutwater Spirits Mobile Studios. Pick up more than one of their 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. And, Mike, we may have some exciting news regarding Cutwater and the second annual Bronco Nation News Golf Tournament here in the near future as well. So we had a great meeting with Cutwater and Stein Distributing on Tuesday, I guess it was, and we are I got some exciting things in the works with Cutwater and Bronco Nation News. I'll just say that. So make sure you check it out. 15% off if you're looking for the interior painting of your home. BNN 15. They got a promo code going on right now at rowpaint.com. They'll give you 15% off the interior painting of your home at rowpaint.com. So make sure you take advantage of that great deal. And also take advantage of Lithia Ford of Boise special where they'll buy your used car even if you don't buy from them. It's pretty crazy. They will, of course, obviously let you trade up. But if you're not wanting to buy from them for some weird reason, you don't like one of their vehicles, you want to buy from somewhere else, you can drive on in and they'll make you a cash offer on the spot from their appraiser at Lithia Ford of Boise. You can do what the Raines family did as well. Purchase that F-150. We couldn't be happier with it. They got the new NIL deal with Paige Barsh as well, the volleyball player. So check them out, LithiaFordBoise.com. And Idaho Central Credit Union, couldn't be happier as well with them that we made the switch. And when we talk about these sponsors here, I'm not just hawking some product. The Raines family, Bronco Nation News, we use these products. We're clients, and we are very happy with Idaho Central Credit Union. Made the switch and couldn't be happier. ICCU.com and the mobile eBranch online banking, just so easy to use. So if you're not happy with your banking, your online experience, make the switch today. Idaho Central Credit Union. I do want to talk a little Boise State basketball, Mike. We kind of briefly hit on at the beginning of the show, but no game this week. They'll be back in action on Saturday against Wyoming. Obviously a rough one, 20-point loss. They were kind of doomed from the start. No Marcus Shaver in the last game. Tyson Degenhart gets in foul trouble. The crowd was going crazy. You kind of just chalk it up as one of those games. It was a horrible game, but I don't think it necessarily, in my opinion, means it's the sign of things to come here, and they're going to just start tanking down the stretch. But, there were some fans obviously a little worried, I guess, and maybe in particular with Marcus Shaver Jr., and if he's unable to get back fairly soon, what the rest of the season could look like. And I think that's a valid concern. But, we'll find out on Saturday. I mean, I would suspect if I had to guess, and there's no inside info here, there's really no need to play him on Saturday. I think you can beat Wyoming without Marcus Shaver Jr. You give him a couple of days. I think you have a much tougher game next week at Colorado State. If you can give him 3-4 extra days, that'd basically be 2 weeks off going into that game. But if he's 80%, maybe you gut him out there and go ahead and just say, okay, it's go time now. We can't afford to lose any more games. What do you make of Shaver and his impact and kind of where things stand there?
Well, has there ever been a more strategic week in the history of scheduling for Boise State basketball? The bye week, absolutely stunningly perfect. And then the Saturday game, as the timing turns out, with Wyoming limping in here with 7 players on their roster and 7 scholarship players on the roster and just really hurting. It's an absolutely spectacular week for Boise State. The timing is just absolutely spectacular. So with that said,
well, you could have maybe said the bye before. You could have had the bye before you had to play San Diego State.
Well, I'm with you. I don't think the San Diego State thing really scared me. That was just one of those games. You could feel it going in. You could feel it coming out. You just knew that was going to be tough. And I'm just going to chalk that one up as sometimes in a season, that kind of game is going to happen. It did happen. Just get rid of it. Don't worry about it and move on, because I don't think it's going to hurt you that bad. This week is such a great week to rest up. This week, Saturday night, should be a no-brainer. I don't know if they're going to play Shaver or not. I didn't think they were going to play Shaver at the Laramie game when he was limping into that game. They played him anyway. We obviously don't know the status of his injury. We know that time is going to heal that, so that's fine. I'm more worried about when they bring him back, because when Shaver got healthier, they played him for 39 minutes in back-to-back games. They love to push Marcus Shaver, and why wouldn't you? He's a difference maker on the basketball court, but I think when he comes back, regardless if he's 70%, 80%, 90%, I don't think he's going to be 100%. He needs to have police minutes. They need to police his minutes. 25, 30 at the most. He pushes himself so hard and he plays so hard. I don't think he can contain himself on a basketball court. The coaches need to do that because they need him for the next month.
Now, I know you, again, I know you were up at 5 o'clock this morning checking out the net rankings, and all those things because you're the big computer net rankings guy. Boise State did get a little bit of help, Mike Prater, with South Dakota State. That's no longer a doomed quad 4 loss, at least for today. At least for one day, they moved up to number 159. So that is technically a quad 3 loss, which I hate to say it, but for whatever reason, quad 3 versus quad 4 does make a big difference in terms of the seeding and things like that. And it could mean the difference between a 7 or an 8 or an 8 or a 9 or a 9 or a 10 or whatever. I mean, it does matter. And so for the moment, South Dakota State has won 3 in a row. They've moved up to 159. That is a, quote, quad 3 loss. But with that, Charlotte, the other early season, and again, it's crazy because two of their first, they're only, 2 quote unquote bad losses were 2 of their first 3 games of the season before they had moved Najee Smith into the starting lineup. I mean, they're completely different. Before Chibuzo Abo, was he didn't even score in the first game of the season, fouled out. I mean, they're a totally different team, but those 2 games early in the season still matter the same as a game at the end of the season, unfortunately, when you look at just a team's resume. And so, unfortunately, Charlotte has been going in the wrong direction. That is now a quad 3 loss as well. So Boise State is currently sitting with 2 quad 3 losses. Charlotte does have a big game tonight at UTEP. And that's a 1-point game, according to Ken Palm. So if you're a Boise State fan and you're wanting some basketball to watch tonight, root for Charlotte against UTEP and see if Charlotte, they're at 108. They need to get above 100 to make that a quad 2 game. But Mike, you look at, I'm a big analytics guy and the Ken Palm numbers and all this, and they, what Ken Palm does is kind of project out to the future. What will happen moving forward, if a team plays another team. And as bad as it looks for Boise State, now again, they don't put, injuries into effect. They don't count Marcus Shaver Jr.'s health or foul trouble, things like that. But, Ken Palm still has Boise State projected to win the next 6 games going into the season finale at Utah State. So, according to their metrics, and a couple of them are close, 1 or 2 point games. He's got them only winning by 2 against San Diego State, but he's got them winning by 5 against New Mexico. And, by 5 at Colorado State, only by 4 at San Jose State. That could be a sneaky tough game here in a couple of weeks. But I guess the point is, as bad as it looks, as bad as some people feel right now, if you do what the computers say you should do, you win your next 6 games, you're going to Utah State, no worse than tied for first place, maybe with a chance to win it outright if you win that game. And at no worse, if you, again, follow the computer numbers, they could have the same record they had last year going into the Mountain West tournament, 24-7.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody's sitting here expecting them to win the next 6 games. Maybe the computers are telling you that, but just the optics and the common sense of looking at this basketball team and knowing the human reality of what's going on, a 6-game winning streak doesn't really strike me as something that would be possible. If they do that, they're going to the NCAA tournament, and that's a done deal. I don't care what happens after that. So, if they can get 4 or 5, and nobody says Boise State has to be perfect. I think they've put themselves in a decent position to have a little bit of a cushion. They could lose a couple of games. They don't have to get to the championship game of the Mountain West tournament. They got to get to the Final Four. If you finish out by winning, 60 or 70, 80% of your basketball games and get to the Final Four of the Mountain West tournament, that's get you into the tournament. To your point, you need to clean that resume up and get a 7 seed or a 6 seed or an 8 seed or whatever it is you can get. That's the difference maker for Boise State in March, no doubt about it. But just getting there is certainly the first priority.
Yeah, you'd like to maybe go 5-2 in these last. Of course, you want to go 7-0, but I think at a minimum, you need to go 5-2 in these last 7 games. And if you can take care of your home games in particular, you got Wyoming on Saturday, you got UNLV for a Sunday home game the following week. And then you've got New Mexico and San Diego State, 2 kind of monster home games, and a couple of sneaky road games, and this isn't really coach speak, but Colorado State at home plays much better, and you only beat San Jose State by 3 earlier in the season at home, and now you got to go to their place where, again, you're only projected as a 4-point favorite. So, they got some sneaky games, but certainly winnable games, and I think they're in an okay position, but they just kind of need to try to avoid that horrible loss like Saturday would be. Just kind of take care, win the games they're supposed to win, see what happens at the end of the season. But you look at the Mountain West standings now, and there is starting to be a little bit of separation, Mike, when it comes to the standings. Now, these last 2 days, as I mentioned, you got San Diego State sitting there at 10-2, Nevada's at 9-3, Boise State's at 8-3, but now Utah State's got 4 conference losses. They're 8-4. New Mexico's down at 6-5. You mentioned getting to the Final Four. a way to do that, Mike, would be to finish in the top 3 of the standings here. You got to finish in the top 3, because if you finish in the 4 or 5 range, you got to play one of these other big 5s right off the bat in the quarterfinals.
Yep.
If you finish 2nd or 3rd, it drops down to a Fresno or a UNLV or a San Jose State, which is a much more winnable game. So I think obviously winning the conference remains the goal, but for me, I think it's finishing in the top 3.
I like that. That's a good target, and I guess I hadn't pieced together those dots, so that makes an awful lot of sense. I think the 3rd right now as it sits. It is a very tight pack, and New Mexico's dropped back to that 6-5 record. So, if they can stay in that top 3, that's good. That's good to know, and we'll keep an eye on that moving forward for sure.
The only problem with the 3rd seed is it's like that 9:30 at night game. It's the worst. It's
BJ, come on, you latest headlines.
I don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's true.
I was feeling for Mark Ziegler last night, where he probably had his story written at halftime and they were up by 16. The next thing you know, it's a 1-point game with 10 seconds left. And I was there's nights that I miss being a beat writer for the Idaho Press, and there are nights like where I don't. And thinking about 9:30 start times and deadlines certainly is not something that I'm too worried about. But we got a couple of minutes left before Gordy joined us. I should have just gone from football to football and realignment, but I did want to finish up, Mike, with a little bit of football talk here. We found out the combine invites came out earlier this week.
Yep.
I think JL Skinner was a no-brainer. And then I think if you want to say a little bit of surprise, or I guess it was 50-50 on John Ojukwu, that was good news that he got in. Tyreek Jones, I think, surprised some people a week or 2 ago when he announced that he had got it. But on the other side, Scott Matlock does not get a combine invite, and not overly surprising to me. I had talked to a pro personnel director from a team that's followed Boise State pretty closely, an NFL team, and he had told me all along. I think I said this on one of the segments with your show when we talked about draft prospects. What his arms aren't super long, and he said his wingspan is not great for his size, and then they also said his size was, quote, not elite size. He said he looks big, which he's huge, but you go put him up against an SEC defensive lineman, and it's really not the same. And so I know there was some concerns with Scott Matlock's physical stature. Not to say he can't get drafted. I know you know the numbers better than anybody. You've been tracking all this, but certainly a blow for Scott Matlock's NFL chances that he doesn't get the combine invite.
Yeah, and that's probably good for him. I mean, going to the combine would be good. So let's not get too carried away. But he's a chip on your shoulder kind of guy. He's been fighting against life and football for his entire life. So this is just par for the course for Scott Matlock, and just go out and grind. You nailed it in terms of the people I've been talking to. Just the physical limitations. He doesn't really have a superpower. I hate to say it, but he's a little stiff in the hips, and they love agile ballet dancer footwork. Kind of like Ryan Clady. Ryan Clady's footwork is in the Hall of Fame because that dude was he was the size of a mountain, and his feet were little nimbles that were just these athletic beauties. And Scott Matlock doesn't really have that. And to get to that kind of level, you have to be that. So, but Boise State as a whole, since the Kellen Moore era, where they were putting 5, 6, 7 players in the combine every single year. This is one of the biggest hauls Boise State's had over the last 10 years. Three players going to the combine. Only in 2020, when they sent 4 to the combine, has there been a higher number since the Kellen Moore era. So that's a good sign for Andy Avalos moving forward. I love the fact that Tyreek Jones got in. I wrote a preseason prediction column last fall, and I said, coming out of this season, Tyreek Jones would be a better NFL prospect than JL Skinner. And at the time, it sounded stupid, and it's still probably a little bit stupid. I was just trying to make the point that I love the playmaking ability of Tyreek Jones, and I love how his game translates into the NFL. So I think Tyreek Jones getting into the combine, he's going to continue to climb. JL Skinner made himself some money during the All-Star circuit. John Ojukwu is just quiet, but grades out with an A every single time. He's like, I
was going to ask you about him. Or did he surprise you that he got the combine invite?
He was a 50-50 guy for me, but he's the quiet guy in the back of the corner that always passes, that gets the A in the test. I mean, talk to the coaches. He never stands out, but he always grades an A after these football games. I think he's just this quiet, just dominating beast who gets his job work. He gets his job done. He's never put out a social media post. He's never talked about declaring for the draft. I didn't even know he existed until a couple of days ago. So John Ojukwu, good for you. Go make yourself some money. Get yourself in the NFL. Boise State's had 54 players taken to the combine. 70% of them have been drafted. So let's make sure that all 3 of these guys get it taken care of.
I think we've just been jealous of John Ojukwu over the years because he had to eat a loaf of bread and drink a gallon of milk a day to try to gain weight.
Yeah.
We're just like, wish we could have that problem.
Yeah, no doubt.
We're all going in the other direction. But Mike, appreciate your time. What do we got on Idaho Sports Talk today?
We're at the Boise Golf Show. It's nice outside, BJ. I know you got your golf tournament coming up in June. I'm going to get in the golf mode. Johnny and I are going to get in the golf mode. Idaho Sports Talk is at the Boise Golf Show. And then at 5 o'clock, we're going to talk Super Bowl with somebody by the name of Dirk Cutter.
Well, that'll be a lot of fun. We'll be listening 3 to 6 today with you, Johnny, JP, and Bob, the whole crew. So appreciate you as always, Mike. I see Gordy Presnell's in here ready to go, so we'll get to him. But thank you so much for your time, Mike and JP, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, and we'll see you tomorrow at 4:15 on Idaho Sports Talk, the Bronco Nation News Report. We appreciate you joining us every Friday. Let's talk some more. Let's dive some more into this Boise State basketball team.
Let's do maybe I just thought of a segment idea on the spot. Maybe we enlighten the listeners on the metrics and the net and the Ken Palm, and maybe we do a little lesson on that or something.
I'm very, very, very disappointed you didn't ask me what Boise State is in the net. By the way, they're number 27, and if you haven't looked yet today.
You know what? I wasn't going to give you 5 minutes off this time, so I didn't want to risk it. But I told you you're up at 5 a.m. Tech. You know, I'm sure you're studying this stuff already all day today. So
I may make fun of certain things, but I got to have some knowledge in my head. So
there you go.
At least I take a quick peek every day.
Appreciate you, Mike. Talk to you later.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
There he is, Mike Prater. We're going to get to Gordy Presnell in just a minute, but first, want to tell you about some of our great sponsors. TCS, Transportation Compliance Service. Check them out, transcompservice.com, 866-813-7620. If you're looking for a new job, look no further than transcompservice.com. They can help you every step of the way and get your permits and get you out there towing that first load in no time. The trucking industry is booming right now in the pandemic, so check it out. Whether the big rig in the screen or the Amazon truck in your neighborhood, they can help you out at Transportation Compliance Service. You looking for a dentist? How about Boise Dentistry Co., the Rains family? Those are my kids on the screen there. We love going to Dr. Meinert and his staff at Boise Dentistry Co., full family dentistry and wellness, so you can schedule the appointments for your kids, your parents, your aunt, your uncle. You can do it all back to back. So you go in there once and you don't have to go back for 6 months or whatever it is. Locations all across the Treasure Valley. They're just opening their 5th location on Overland. So find the location near you, get for more information. But I highly recommend making the switch to Dr. Meinert and his staff at BoiseDentistryCo.com. If you're looking for business insurance, I know we got a lot of business owners on here. Check them out. UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. 229-8222 is the phone number. They can write business policy insurance in 44 states around the country. So make sure you check them out, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. And Bauscher Real Estate, the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt Bauscher and his team at Bauscher Real Estate. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, look no further. He's the best in the business, our friend Matt Bauscher. And as promised, Gordy Presnell, nice enough to join us on a game day here as the Broncos get ready for looking for their 4th win in a row tonight against New Mexico. 6:30, I believe, is the start time. Gordy, appreciate you for joining us. How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was hoping we could just talk baseball for 15 minutes, but more folks would probably rather talk about your team. But 3 in a row, as I said, 5 of 7. I mean, if there was a time to get hot, you guys are doing it at the right time here.
Well, we're growing. You know, we've gotten a little bit better every game, and we've got a rough week ahead of us, and looking forward to tonight's game. That's for sure.
These Thursday, Saturday games, I mean, I know like some other conferences do it, but you guys, I mean, I guess it's because of the travel and things in women's basketball, but that one day of prep in the middle, like you guys will have tomorrow, it doesn't make things easy.
It's tough, especially when you're prepping for a 22-2 team that may be the best mid-major in the country. So, yeah, that's going to be a real challenge for us. That's an area that I know us coaches in the Mountain West are trying to change. We want to go back to Wednesday, Saturday, unless we can get a partner type situation where it's more of a Pac-10 schedule where you're 2 on the road, 2 at home. But the split schedule, if you're flying in on Friday, means you're flying in for a road game at home.
Why they made the switch like that recently?
You know, I'm not sure. I think they thought it might be better economically, but it really hasn't helped in terms of misclass for sure. And so we're going to make a strong push now. Obviously, it will be at the administrative level and the new commissioner, but we're hoping that we can get that back to Wednesday, as long as it's going to be a split schedule Wednesday to Saturday.
Yeah, you'll have to get in Gloria's ear. She's going to be in town this weekend, obviously. Going to see your game on Saturday before the men take on Wyoming. So, but you know what has been the difference here? As I mentioned, I know scheduling has, who you're playing has a lot to do with it. But I mean, as I said, 5 of 7, 3 in a row. And you had told me after the Wyoming game when you had the tough loss that you still felt like the team was moving in the right direction. He's obviously won 3 in a row since then. So that proved to be the case. But what's clicking for you guys right now?
I think we're defending at a pretty good level. And then, we've hit key shots and key shots or dagger shots, I should say, I guess. And those come with confidence and experience and belief in yourself. And so I always thought when you hit a dagger shot down the stretch of a game, and obviously our men have had a number of those games, that's a sign that your team is starting to believe a little bit, and you think it's going to go in. And when you're young and it doesn't go in, that's part of the dog times. But we've hit a couple of key shots and created some space from our opponents lately down the stretch of games. That's really helped.
Yeah, I mean, these last 3 wins have all been close games, down to the wire, couple possession games. And that's a nice trait to have, I would assume, especially as you gear up for the tournament, being able to play well in close games.
I certainly hope so. We've had a good tradition in that tournament, and hopefully we'll be ready to play. It's interesting when you have a really, really young team. If you finish in the middle, do you want to play the 4-5 game, or do you want to play the 6-11 game and get some experience and get the jitters out? So I don't know where we'll end up, but we're going to push as hard as we can. That's for sure.
I was going to ask you about that. I was looking at the standings, and obviously UNLV is 12-0, but there's 7 teams within 2 games of each other right there in the middle. I mean, can you remember a year where there's so much parity, aside from UNLV, obviously, but so many teams, so much struggling, and a lot of teams that seem pretty equal to each other right there in the middle?
Yeah, it is. It's every game is kind of goes down to the wire, and it's kind of a dogfight, and hopefully tonight we're playing a really good opponent that's super athletic and do a lot of trapping and pressing, and we didn't handle ourselves very well down in Albuquerque, and so hopefully we'll be ready. But it's a great opportunity tonight for us to create some separation from New Mexico in the standings. So we'll see.
Yeah, you guys are 7-5 in league, tied for 5th place right now. There's 3 teams that are at 8-4. So I mean, you bring up an interesting thought, I guess, about the 6-11 versus the 4-5, and but obviously you guys are trying to win as many games as you can. I mean, it just seems like one possession here or there, one game. I mean, it's going to be tiebreakers are going to come into play. I mean, there's a lot of I guess shuffling still to come here in the next 5 games or 6 games.
Absolutely, and it's the teams that can be confident down the stretch, and the kids that you have that aren't afraid to miss, and that's hard. Everyone talks about the ones that can make, but the ones that aren't afraid to miss a shot are the ones that are going to be there for you, and they're going to hit that dagger.
Speaking of, and we're visiting with Gordy Presnell here for a couple more minutes. They play against New Mexico tonight. UNLV, first place undefeated UNLV in league play on Saturday at Extra Mile Arena. But, you look at your scoring, and it's been pretty balanced this year. I mean, you got four players kind of right in that 8 to 10 points a game range. If you had your pick, I mean, I'm sure you'd love to have a 20-point scorer that you can count on every night. But I mean, do you, as a coach, do you like the balanced scoring, or do you wish there was someone that you could count on a little more consistently in that 15 to 20 range, maybe?
I like balance. I do think you need to have someone that is your go-to player, and we're trying to develop that. Maya Hansen, who obviously has hurt her knee, and we're hoping to have her back before the end of the season. Don't know, a freshman, but she's hit a lot of key shots for us throughout the year, and so that's an interesting point, and that's a tough decision, and we've had a number of kids that are all in that 8 to 9 point, but like, all right, are they going to be able to make that shot with 17 seconds to go? So we're still learning in that, but I love our freshmen. I think our freshmen are as good as the best class we've ever had here in my time. That's for sure.
Abby Muse is getting a lot of pub lately with what she's done, setting the blocks record, 71 blocks, by far and away the most in the conference, almost 3 a game, and only a junior too. So that record could become, pretty far for someone to catch up to here at Boise State. But what's so impressive? Obviously the size has a lot to do with it, and just being gifted with her wingspan. But what's so impressive about what she does defensively?
And she's got a COVID year on top of that, so she has 2 more years after this.
Wow.
And, our whole team has 2 more years together after this, so we feel like we're laying the foundation. Abby obviously comes from a very athletic family. Mom and dad both play professional basketball. Abby's the shortest person in her family. Her sister is 6'6" and just signed last November with UCLA. But Abby is long. She's athletic. She has a great sense of timing, and then her quickness from stick hand to ball pocket of the opponent has really improved, and her reaction time. And I'd like to say that's coaching and that's strength training, but I don't know if it's just experience or knowing your opponent better. But when they put the ball in the shooting pocket, her stick hand is as quick as I've ever seen, and she's getting a hand on a lot of balls. And then there's a psychological effect to all that stuff too. The next time they go in there, sometimes they don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah, 71 blocks. But if you go to altered shots or decisions and things, it's probably way more than that when they know what they're coming into. I mean, she's obviously going to be big for it. You mentioned Maya being out, but who's another, player or two that you'd like to see here down the stretch really kind of step up for you guys?
Tatum Thompson's she has the most talent of anyone on the team, and she's a freak athlete, and didn't start playing until January because of a broken foot in preseason. And she had 13 the other night against Fresno State. She's a natural scorer, and so we'd love to get her some more minutes and get her some more experience. And Danny Bays, obviously, freshman, really good. And then Natalie Pasco, a freshman from Northern California, has been freshman of the week, I should say, 3 times. So we got a good group, that's for sure. We're taking some lumps for sure.
What about as a team? Any areas that really could be the difference for you guys that you'd like to see get a little bit better here down the stretch?
No question, turnovers. We measure 0-footers, and 0-footers are we want to have 11 or under, and that's an offensive rebound and put back the opponent gets, or runouts where they've stolen a guard to wing pass and they run out. We try to keep it to 11 or under, and that is really critical for us because it's hurt us all year is the turnover runouts.
What's this been like for you? You had so much success, obviously winning all the tournaments. And then, the last couple of years was, I don't know if you want to call it a rebuild or a retooling, stretch here. And you're obviously back going to where you want to be here, in the near future. But as someone that's been doing this a long time, has this re-energized you at all, kind of these last couple of years of retooling or getting back to where you want to be? Or what's the feeling like, Ben, as you were at the pinnacle, then you're at the bottom, and now you're on the way back up the mountain here?
I feel like I'm 103. And actually, these kids are phenomenal. They're really fun to be around. They're just fun on the trips. And that's what makes it fun. That's what keeps me young with it. The games are a little more stressful than they used to be. And I have found that, maybe Leon finds this too, I don't know. But as the games get closer and closer, I get a little harder on officials probably. Whereas, a couple of years ago, we could take a bad call here and there or take a missed call and just go with it. And so
you seem too nice. You seem too nice. You don't seem like someone that would get on a ref.
No, yeah, I have my moments, let me tell you. So it's a fine line, and you want to win, and you're all competitive. And so it's a hard one.
Well, especially now when you look at the standings, every one call, one game could mean second place for 7th place or something here when it's all said and done. I guess final thing, and we appreciate it again, Gordy, coming on ahead of the game tonight. You mentioned New Mexico. You guys were down there. We actually saw you guys were finishing up your shoot around right before the men's game down in Albuquerque a couple weeks ago. Tough game that you guys lost down there in Albuquerque. What needs to change to try to get the win tonight?
Obviously we're going to have to shoot a higher percentage. We're going to have to handle their pressure, and they're averaging 79 points a game in the last 5 games, and they really score the ball, and they trap you off pick and rolls and that sort of thing. So they kind of put their will on you, and we're going to have to be mentally tough and be able to handle a mistake and keep moving forward.
And I got to ask you, I can't get you out of here without asking one baseball question. You're Mariners. We know Jay Tuss, big Mariners fan. You feeling good going into spring training here about the squad?
Oh yeah, we're still riding momentum. We had a good finish, and Houston beat us, but Houston's pretty good. So we'll be ready. I'm anxious for spring training and see what they come up with when April comes around, and love the Mariners, that's for sure.
Got the playoff drought out of the way. Now you can just focus on actually advancing.
It was a long drought.
You were probably back at Seattle Pacific, or where were you at when the last time they made the playoffs? That would have been a while ago.
That was Ichiro and Edgar, and that was a long time ago. That's for sure.
Well, good luck to the Mariners. Good luck to you guys tonight, and then on Saturday, obviously a big stretch coming for you guys, and we'll be covering it at Bronco Nation News, and we'll be down there in the tournament here in a couple weeks in Vegas. But best of luck tonight, and hope you can keep the win streak going. Gordy, appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And there he is, Gordy Presnell. We appreciate him for joining us. Make sure you check out Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. Go download their app, the Ridley's Market app. We would love for you to download that app. It's in the Apple Store and Google Play and all those different things. And we would love for you to go download the Ridley's app. They got some exclusive savings that they can give you there at the different locations. The CUNA location, love going down there. So check them out. 13 locations in the state of Idaho. ShopRidleys.com. The Blue and Orange Store, you looking for some Boise State gear? Go check it out. The blueandorange.store.com has you covered. They got all the NIL gear. I was just in their sister store there, Pro Image, buying some Chiefs gear the other day, and they have all the Degenhart, NIL shirts, all that stuff there at the Blue and Orange store right there at the Boise Town Square Mall. But if you want to order online, you can get free shipping for any order over $40 at the Blue and Orange store.com. I mentioned Timberstone Golf Course. Save the date, June 2nd. The Timberstone Golf Course is hosting our second annual Bronco Nation News Golf Tournament, June 2nd. We'll have information coming in the next few weeks about registration and things like that. But if you are a business interested in sponsoring a hole or getting involved, we have some premium packages, which include kind of one of the celebrities or coaches playing with you in your foursome. Those are limited, so you can email me at Rains, RAINS, at BroncoNationNews.com. But save the date. We will give first priority to folks that played last year. If you played last year and want to play again, you will have first priority. But if we do get enough interest, we'll have a second run in the afternoon. So we'll have a morning session, tee off around 8 a.m., and then an afternoon session, tee off around 1 p.m., 1:30. So if you're interested in one or the other or both, just save the date, June 2nd. If we get enough interest, we'll do both. But we sold out 32 foursomes last year, had a lot of fun. It was an awesome tournament. And we're going to have KTIK, Prater and Johnny broadcasting out there again, hoping to have some of the local coaches and celebrities. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So June 2nd, Timberstone Golf Course. Portion of the proceeds will go to the Idaho Youth Sports Commission, our charity that we partnered up with last year and had a lot of fun. So once again, that was a really fun tournament, and we're looking forward to it doing that again. So I got a couple final comments on here. Rudy says, go Mariners. Dan, can't wait for the Mariners talk with Tuss this summer. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to heading up in January, or excuse me, I don't know why I said January. In April, the Cardinals are playing in Seattle in April. It's like the weekend after the spring game or 2 weeks after the spring game. It was perfect timing. So the Rains family will be heading up to Seattle to see the Mariners and Cardinals. So I'm really looking forward to that. So appreciate everybody for checking us out. Thanks to Gordy Presnell for joining us on a game day. We got the softball season starting tomorrow. Colin Mitchell has a preview of that up on the website. So go read about Boise State softball as they get ready to start the season. We've got interviews tomorrow with Gloria Navarez and Leon Rice, and maybe some players. So we'll get those on tomorrow. And then Gloria Navarez, the new Mountain West commissioner, is going to join us live on the Lithia Ford to Boise pregame show on Saturday before the Wyoming game. So go watch the women's game tonight. I may bring my kids. Colin Mitchell's covering the game for us, but my wife's got an engagement at work, so I may be I'm on daddy daycare duty tonight, so I'm thinking maybe I'll bring the kids by Extra Mile Arena. $3 tickets, I heard, as Derek points out here. So maybe we'll buy some tickets. Three tickets for $9. Can't beat that. So maybe we'll see you there at the women's game tonight. Jordan said it's his first game of the season. Maybe we'll see you there, Jordan. So we'll see what's going on. But have a great rest of your Thursday. If any news happens or breaks, of course, we'll have you covered at BroncoNationNews.com. Please consider a subscription. These morning shows are a free service to you, but we have all kinds of other content, traveling to the road games and all of our recruiting coverage and a lot of other exclusive stuff that's only available for subscribers. So we would love for you to consider a subscription. We're still offering a free round of golf at Timberstone or a gift card to the Blue and Orange store if you sign up for a 1-year subscription, one-time fee of $70. We'd love to have you. If that's unable to swing the $70 one-time fee, you can sign up for $6.99 for a monthly fee as well. So we'd love to have you. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Right now is the perfect time down there at the bottom of the page. It's free. It's easy. Takes about 5 seconds. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and then you can get notified when we go live for our live broadcast. If you are watching on Twitter and tried to comment, sorry, we don't get your comments on Twitter. It's not a great way to watch the show. And in fact, I'm moving towards just stopping the broadcasts on Twitter altogether and just having them on YouTube and Facebook, because that's where we can have a better count and monetize it and things like that. So if you're on Facebook, we can get you. We'd love you to switch over to the YouTube channel as well. And again, the URL for that is just youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. So please just go to YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. It's the easiest way. We'd love to have you on there. youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. And go download the app, the Bronco Nation News app. It's in the App Store, Google Play. It's free. It is easy, and you can have it on your home screen there. So anytime you want to get any updated Boise State coverage, you can watch our live broadcast, all of our press conference videos. You can watch all that right from the app. And you can go download that for free in the App Store and in Google Play. So appreciate all of our sponsors. Appreciate you for checking us out. Thanks to Mike Prater, and thanks to Gordy Presnell. So have a great rest of your Thursday. And Jay Test and I will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow, unless news warrants coming on sooner. But 9 a.m. on Friday, join us tomorrow. Jay Tuss, KTVB Sports Director, and I will get you set for the game Saturday against Wyoming. And again, if you're looking for games to watch, teams to root for tonight, root for Charlotte. Charlotte 49ers, they are playing tonight on the road against UTEP. Charlotte's lost 3 in a row and 5 of 6. Their numbers are plummeting, but you need Charlotte to get back on track down the stretch here to try to get into that quad 2 range for Boise State. But Ken Palm projects it as a 1-point loss on the road at UTEP tonight. So root for Charlotte to try to get a win tonight. And that would be big for Boise State's metric. So have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll talk to you soon. My name is BJ Rains. For Colin Mitchell, for Jaden Finch, for our whole staff at Bronco Nation News, we appreciate you for checking us out. Go subscribe. Go check out BroncoNationNews.com. Go post in the message boards as well. We're trying to build those message boards up, and I'm going to randomly give away some prizes and things for folks that make quality message board posts or show an effort to post in the message boards. We'd love to have you there as well. So have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News here at BroncoNationNews.com.